What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? I know this is long overdue. I just want to wrap this up. This is going to be the final review for the first season of Next Gen NYC. And I'm going to just kind of do a wrap up of what it was because it seems like they sort of rushed through this final episode. I'm not sure if production wasn't confident that this show was going to do well or what the issue was. I'm really not sure, but it really seemed like this final episode, and usually we get like 10 episodes, so it just seemed like this final episode was sort of rushed through, in my opinion. I feel like overall it was a good season. They are talking about doing a next gen LA version with some other of these Nepo kids. And I think it'll be good TV. I think it'll be a good time. So we pick up where we left off. They're still at the shore. Riley is upset. It's the day after the whole situation. And Riley is upset because ultimately Riley feels like nobody had her back, right? She was like, look, Adriana reached out, she apologized, and Riley was like, listen, I just had a problem with the fact that you came in on the tail end of a conversation and made a decision, and the decision you made was against me, who was supposed to be your friend. She was like, even if you think I'm wrong, correct me privately, but publicly have my back. Like, don't leave me out there by myself. Adriana was very apologetic, and I think she did understand. Like I said, she was truly sorry the next morning. And I think some of that was alcohol induced. Maybe she was, of course we get an edited version. Who knows how long they have been arguing, right? So then, and it was a moment. I mean, Riley cried and Brooks, went and embraced her and everything. And they sort of talked out whatever needed to be talked out. Like they said, what's her name? The model, I forget her name, but she was like Arena, but she was just like, basically Riley was like, look, we asked her to say, she tried to not say what it was. We asked her to say it, and then once she said it, everybody made her out to be the monster. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. And she was like, but that's why I wasn't gonna say it, because I realized that it probably wasn't the best thing to say. So it's time to pack up and all that good stuff, and we have Charlie and child, I done waited so long I done forgot all these people's names. What's the girl that don't wash her hands, child? Her. Charlie and her are kind of just like off by themselves, having this awkward moment, and basically they end up making up. Look, I suspect that the two of them argue a lot. I suspect that the two of them say some that I don't feel like that's the first time that Charlie has probably said something nasty to her. Maybe the first time it was caught on camera. Maybe the first time he said it with such venom. But either way, they were mad. They made up, right? That's their thing, child. That's their thing. So then, everybody goes back home. We see that Riley and Adriana link up again, just to sort of further close out this argument and where they stand. And I think Adriana really truly values her friendship with Riley and was like, listen, we just found each other again. Like, we were friends when we were kids. We stopped being friends because our parents fell out. Now that we're adults and we can make our own decisions, we don't need our parents to sort of be there to chaperone for us. Like, I screwed up, I'm sorry, but I want to still, like, you my girl, you're still my girl. Ultimately, they make up, they talk about, the other things going on in the group or whatever. Brooks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap Brooks up. Brooks has decided that he wants to separate his brand from his mom's brand. So he has a whole pitch where he pitches what he wants to do, the next company. And he wants them to be investors, but he does not want to be under the umbrella of Meredith Marks. And I think for Brooks, he did a decent proposal. I mean, it could have been a little more high tech. I mean, he could have done a pitch deck, but I mean, I thought that's what this Gen did. But he did the old fashioned, I'm going to show it to you, I'm going to have index cards, But I think he did a pretty, and it was his parents' child, but I think he did a pretty decent job of breaking all of that stuff down. And of course, they agreed that they were going to invest. Meredith was very emotional because she was like, oh my gosh, you're just growing up so much. Like, I don't think she was hurt, but I do think that because the two of them are so close and because they have been so linked and their brands have been so linked and they've worked together, I think a part of her is scared of change because she's scared of losing that connection. And like he told her, he said, listen, you're going to always be my mom. I'm going to always love you. We're going to always, have this relationship. We're just taking the business out of it so it can be more play, more lighthearted. I'm just taking the business out of this. Then we have this whole bowling alley situation where, what's her name? Damn, it was right on the top of my tongue. I want to say Virginia, but I don't feel like that's right. Anyway, the girl that don't wash her hands, child. I'm sorry, y'all, but I don't forgot all these people's names. She had her run through of this whole bowling alley clubs type idea. Her boyfriend, he bought through the investors. Listen, I don't think it's a bad idea for her to want to have a bowling alley, old school style bowling alley, and mix it with a little and remix it a little bit. Here's my issue with that. Number one, it has already been done. I could probably name you 3 or 4 places in the DMV area where you can do exactly that. Where, I think Lucky Strike is the first example, and there's so many others at this point. So for her to act like she's come up with this great, different idea, girl, you didn't. I think the only thing you're adding to it is that you want to actually turn it into a club where people are on a dance floor. But even with that, I feel like we've done that at Lucky Strike. Maybe it was the alcohol doing it. I don't know, but I just I feel like it's been done. But neither here nor there. Girl, go for it, right? So they had this whole big to-do to make it seem like it was this big thing. Everybody came out to support her. They all agreed, though, that they still think it was a terrible idea. Yeah, but when Riley said it, she was the bad guy. But whatever, I'm not going to dwell. The whole investor piece of it creeped me out. It made me I don't know. I just didn't buy it. I felt like it was very performative. Y'all know that's my word. I feel like it was very performative for the cameras. I never felt like these people were really genuinely there to invest in this idea. I just didn't. It didn't ring as an authentic situation to me. It just didn't. We're going to come back around to her and her boyfriend. We're going to come back around to him. So, because the model chick kept telling us, Google him, because he's a crook. Let me just go ahead and say it now before I forget. So I found this TikTok where they really break down her boyfriend / ex-boyfriend, because they broke up now. But the boyfriend / ex-boyfriend, and it seems like he basically created a fake company when he was in college. He created a fake, he pulled a whole Ponzi scheme. He created a fake company and got multi-millionaire investors to invest in his company. And he was basically pulling a Ponzi scheme while he was in college. And it wasn't until somebody actually asked to see the books that he got caught. That is according to what I saw online, what I saw on TikTok. So that's where she's getting it from. But from all, it seems like he is now running a legitimate business, I guess, but it's all crypto. So who knows? People have to really understand crypto to really know what's really going on with the whole crypto situation, but whatever. But then I also fell into this rabbit hole on TikTok with all of his ex-girlfriends talking about how horrible of a person he was and how he did these horrible things to them. It seems like I'm skipping ahead, but let me go ahead and finish it out, I guess. It seems like at the end of this episode, we found out that the two of them, that him and Hands girl, they actually had moved in together. They were living together, and then they were out and they were in Singapore, and they broke up while they were in Singapore, and he literally left her in Singapore. And by the time she got home, he had packed up all of her stuff, or had his assistant pack up all of her stuff, and it was literally in boxes in front of Charlie's apartment. So now she, at the end of this show, or at the end of filming, she was back living with Charlie, technically homeless again. Anyway, so Then we're dealing with the Ava of it all. Baby, Ava, listen, Ava lied. She didn't want to come to Jersey Shore. Why she didn't want to come to the Jersey Shore? It might have something to do with this new boyfriend that she showed up with at the end of this episode. So I don't know why she actually did not come to the Jersey Shore for that whole moment, but she didn't want to be there. And she lied about when she left, how long she was there, when she had to be there, when she didn't have to be there. Make a long story short, the other model, I think her name is, I want to say it's Arena, but I feel like that's wrong. But basically, she was like, girl, I was invited to that event. It's not that deep. Like, it literally is a drop-in situation. You go, you drop in, you leave. Like, it's not that deep. Like, you made it seem like this was like a career-changing event. And if you didn't go, it was going to mess up your career. And it wasn't that. Adriana found an apartment, so we see that they moved into their new apartment. Good for them. I literally just saw on TikTok where they actually moved out of, so they've been there a year, in real time, and they actually were moving out of that apartment and moving into a different apartment. So good, shout out to you, because her and her man are still together. They're still in New York. I actually feel like I've seen her in a couple of commercials. Am I wrong? Have I seen her on like a couple of commercials? I feel like I've seen her on a few like ads and stuff on TikTok. Am I wrong that I have I seen her? But I know she's still doing content creating and things like that. Not really sure where she is with her clothing line, which they show her still working on her clothing line as well. Ava shows up at the final like event with her boyfriend, and basically Gia has decided and learned her lesson that I'm going to mind my business. Like, I don't need to be Marx's mouthpiece. If Marx is disappointed in Ava or upset at Ava because she didn't show up to his birthday party and then lied to him about it, that is on him to articulate that to her, and that's on him to have that conversation. And so even though Brooks, I said Meredith Marks, did not Brooks. Even though Brooks was still sort of hemming and hawing and still kind of doing it in his very passive aggressive, anxious sort of way, he did talk to Ava. Now Ava side talked it and double talked it, but he did say what needed to be said. And to be fair, Gia, Adriana, and Riley all stayed out of it and let him handle the conversation. Charlie moved into a new apartment. His roommate were no longer roommates anymore. What I was told, that he was supposed to have a bigger role on the show, but he chose not to be on the show. So that's why we didn't see a lot of him. A few people that were supposed to be on the show changed their mind about being on the show when they found out it was going to be so many housewives kids. I'm not really sure what that's about. I mean, I know what it's about, but I didn't know it was a thing. Let me say that. I didn't know it was a thing. Like, I didn't know that this Generation Next crew were snobs to housewives kids. Like, I didn't understand. I didn't know that was a thing until this season, until this show. So, there it is. But yeah, that was pretty much it. I'm sorry. I know it took me forever to get you guys this. It came up at a time when I was probably in and out of town, and it sort of just fell by the wayside. But I hate that I did all of the episodes and didn't do the final one. So here's sort of a little wrap up of what's going on. Do I think they're going to do another season? I do. Do I think Charlie's coming back? I have no idea. They were on Watch What Happens. Adriana and Gia, I think, were on Watch What Happens Live, and they said he left the group chat. So maybe not. But I definitely think they'll come back for another season. And I think they're going to try to do this LA spinoff as well. They may even do an Atlanta one if LA does well. Those are the three, I think, when we think about major cities where they could probably do something like this. I feel like they could. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.